Now, as International Fraud Awareness Week approaches, the South African fraud landscape is becoming increasingly risky as fraudsters and scammers look to target individuals with highly sophisticated scams in an environment where it is becoming increasingly difficult for lawmakers and authorities to bring these criminals to justice. According to Nazia Karrim, the head of product development at the Southern African Fraud Prevention Service, South Africans need to be aware how they are impacted by fraud and the urgency of implementing proactive prevention measures in their daily lives. Noted as one of the biggest scams being run in South Africa, it is targeting businesses using business email compromise scam. Hackers will access the mailbox of a high-level manager within a company and then spend almost 200 days assessing how they can run a lucrative scam. In addition to cybercrime being a major issue, banking fraud is also a significant risk many South Africans face. Now, to discuss this further, we're now joined by Nazia Karrim, the head of product development at the Southern African Fraud Prevention Service. Nazia, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. Now, what factors would you say make South Africa a high-risk region for fraud? And exactly what are the primary types of fraud prevalent in South Africa?
Well, at this point in time, the three most common frauds that we are experiencing is advanced fee frauds or scams, investment scams, and cyber scams, which is coming into play quite prominently this year. Currently, we are seeing a very big shift in terms of the move to cyber scams. So I think the scammers are actually using the lack of digital literacy as a key leg to further manipulate and scam our citizens out of their money.
Nazia, what are some of the key challenges or key vulnerabilities, if you would say, in the South African financial system that facilitate fraudulent activities?
I think one of the biggest problems right now is that we need to be able to communicate to our consumers, to our citizens, the processes about how to actually go about protecting themselves and preventing themselves from becoming victim. I think another component is the fact that today our society is very free with using technology and understanding how to surf the net, but they don't understand the risks associated to it. Earlier, you mentioned something relating to the BEC scams. BEC scams are targeting the businesses, particularly the small businesses and retailers who don't have as majestic security systems as corporates might have. And they're targeting their customers and their staff or employees with these BEC type scams, particularly change of banking detail type scams. In other instances, it could be a little more serious where these emails actually have links or SMSs actually have links in them that hack these people's devices and then compromise the systems, allowing for further more serious instances, especially if it's an employee for a particular institution. So those are kind of the things we need to focus on right now, is educating the people, educating our businesses, and getting the word out there on how to actually prevent yourself from falling victim.
All right. And how would we say the socioeconomic landscape of South Africa contributes to the high risk of fraud?
Well, it's long been proven that the socioeconomic conditions of a country will impact the crime rate of a particular country. And we've seen the fact that employment fraud has increased by 57%, coincidentally, as unemployment increased by 31% in South Africa. So you can see the change in the increase of the fraud type because people are now desperate. They're looking for jobs, trying to get out there to earn a living. And scammers are using this opportunity to defraud these people further by getting them caught in employment scams, for example. Consumers will apply for the job thinking that they hopefully going to get into a new position. And in some cases, unfortunately, they land up applying on the fraudster side, getting phished, or in the worst case scenario, human trafficking situations where they might find themselves in those unlikely situations. in addition to that, we as a country, we need to make sure that the economic landscape is catering for the change in the financial stress we're experiencing, and help our people understand that the spend right now, the financial need right now must not be a callous decision. Loan scams, for example, people are desperate for money, so they will apply for loans, and the scammers are using the scenarios as another in to scam the citizens.
Right. Nazia Karrim, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you.
A pleasure.